Welcome back to another Khan Academy tutorial. Today we're going to be talking about adding fractions with unlike denominators. I know I added an ing, but it just worked in the sentence. Okay, the first question is add, period. It's not really a question, more of a statement. But anyway, 10 over 12 plus 1 over 4. We need to have a common denominator. Okay, so what is our common denominator going to be? I like stacking it like this personally. I feel like it helps with organization, and we have these bars here signifying that we need a common denominator here and here. We need to find numbers that both 4 and 12 fit into. What are they both multiples of? And we want to find the least, that means the smallest, common denominator. Okay. If you wanted to, you could write 4, 8, 12. These are all the numbers that 4 multiplies to give you 16, ... 12 would be 12, 24. What is next? 36, 48, so on. So 4 fits into all of these, right? So let's just pick the smallest one. Clearly 4 goes into 12, so we know our common denominator is going to be 12. Now, what do we have to do to each of these denominators in this section to turn the denominator into 12? Well, for this case, in the bottom, that's where I'm looking right now. I know you can't see where my eyes are. We multiply by 3. You can't just multiply the denominator by 3. What you do to the bottom, you have to do this at the top. So multiply this by 3, you get 3 over 12. Here, from 12 to 12, we didn't do anything. We just multiplied by 1, essentially. So you keep it the same. So this is going to be 12. And our final answer, well, not final answer, our final fractions are going to be 10 over 12 plus 3 over 12. And that equals 13 over 12. I don't think it wants it as a mixed fraction. Hopefully we can just type it like this, 13 over 12. And let's see what it gives us. There we go, perfect. 5 over 4 plus 1 over 2. Again, what we need to do, 5 over 4, 1 over 2. We need to change the look of these guys so that they have the same denominator, okay? We have 2, we have 4. The first thing you always want to do is, does the smaller denominator already a factor of the bigger denominator? And the answer is yes. So we are just going to use the bigger denominator as our common denominator, because that will, there's no other way. There could be anything smaller. So that is the least common denominator, okay? Now what we do is, like we did before, we see what do we multiply 2 by to get that common denominator, because we have to change the look of it, and it's 2. What you do to the bottom, you have to do the top. 1 times 2 is 2. Here we didn't change anything. It's just essentially multiplying by 1. You don't even need to write that really, but I just wanted to show you what the process is. You can follow this process no matter what, but when it's multiplied by 1, you really don't need to write that. So we have 5 over 4 plus 2 over 4. You always keep the denominator the same. Whoops, that's not where the denominator goes. You always keep the denominator the same. So 4, 4, this needs to stay 4, okay? Denominator always stays the same, and then you just add the top. 5 plus 2 equals 7. So this is going to be 7 over 4. I don't think it needs it as a mixed number, which, in my opinion, mixed numbers are not that helpful unless you're cooking. Check it out. There we go. Okay, so as you do this, you can get faster and faster. So if I were to do this myself, I would recognize that we have 4 over 5, 2 over 10. I recognize that the 5 goes into the 10. I don't need to change the 10 because the 5 is already a factor of 10. So the least common denominator is going to be 10. So now I'm just thinking to myself, how do I change this 5 to become 10? Well, I need to multiply it by 2. I need to multiply this 4 times 2. So this fraction gets changed. What is this new fraction going to be? The new fraction is going to be 8 over 10. 4 over 5 is the same thing as 8 over 10, but now they have the same denominator. So we're just going to keep the denominator the same. Oops, I don't like that line. Makes it look like a complex fraction. We're not doing that right now. And then we add the top to give us 10 over 10. And guess what that equals? That equals 1 over 1. We should simplify that to be 1. So we're going to type in 1 for our answer. There we go. Okay, let's do a few more. Aha, this is a good example. This is a good example because we need to change both the fractions. As you saw before, the smaller denominator went into the bigger denominator. Okay, it was a factor of the bigger denominator. This is not the case here. So here, we need to find a common factor. Again, what you can do is you can list all the factors if you really want. So we have 4, 8, 12, 16, okay, 20, and so on. Here we have 6, 12, 18. Okay, and as you do this, you get a little bit better and you don't need to write out the factors. But what we're looking for here is the smallest, the least of the common denominators. What do both these numbers go into? Clearly 8, they don't both go into 8. 6 doesn't go into 8. 18, 4 doesn't go into 18. But look here, we both have a 12. Whoops, I kind of missed there, but sorry about that. So 12. So 12 is going to be our common denominator. Like we did before, we see, okay, what did I have to do to 4 to get to 12? And I had to multiply it by 3. What you do to the bottom, you also have to do top, so I get 21 there. 21 over 12. What do I do to 6 to get 12? Well, I would just multiply by 2. So multiply the top by 2, and I get 2. So I have 2 over 12, and then plus 21 over 12. 2 over 12 plus 21 over 12. And I get 23. Keep the denominator the same. 23 over 12. That's my answer. 23 over 12. All right. Maybe just one more for good measure. 7 over 4. I'm going to just do this one a little bit styled differently just so you can kind of see if you don't have a lot of vertical space what you can do. I gave it some extra space because I know that 4 and 3, 3 does not go into 4, so we need to find a common denominator. Now, one thing that will always work, it might not always be the least common, in this case it is, but one thing that will always work to find a common denominator, not necessarily a least common denominator, is you can multiply the two denominators together. In this case, it also happens to be the least common denominator. So if you were to list the factors of 3, you list the factors of 4, you see that 12 is the least of those factors, okay, because there's other factors that are bigger. There's like 24 is a factor of both, but 12 is less than that. It is the least common denominator, okay? So we know that we're going to use 24 as our denominator. So we're going to change this into 24. We're going to change this into 24. And now we need to change the look of it. So we multiply this by 6. Oops, I'm sorry. I meant 12. I got all caught up on the 24. I forgot that it's actually 12. So I have to multiply this by 3, sorry. And this one by 4. And this one by 3. What you do to the bottom, you get to the top, 21 times 4, we get 8. So now I have these two fractions added together. 21 over 12 plus 8 over 12, and I get 29 over 12. So I need to type that as my final answer. This is going to be the final one we do, because I think you get the point. 29 over 12. Check it. All right. Hope you found this helpful, and I'll see you next time on Wes Explains Best. Thanks for watching.